with all the various organizations, the various offices, in trying to streamline operations and, in effect, reform how the Department of Energy has operated historically, because we had to do it. There was no ability for us to delay. And so what we did was, over that period of time, last year, we were able to move the funding opportunity announcements out, get the solicitations out on the street. We were able to calendar when all these went out, when the different applications would be coming in, when we would be able to have the reviewers start going through it. And all of a sudden, when we started mapping it out, a big aha moment came out for us, which was we had what before this was a very large number of reviewers. But then when we started going through the process, we realized that never before had we asked our reviewers to do so many programs at the same time. And even though we had over 1,000, I think even up to 1,500 reviewers, we realized we needed 4,500 reviewers to do all those application reviews simultaneously over that 6 to 8 month period of time. So we did this major call out to the various universities and labs outside of our own to basically ask the best and the brightest to come on board, make sure there were no conflicts of interest, of course, but have them help us in our various review process. And that worked great. And then all of a sudden, once we got the various selections done and we started obligating them, we realized we need more procurement officers as well. And we had to do the same thing there with getting more bodies within the DOE to be able to help with the procurement processes. So operationally, it was very, very challenging. It was also extremely rewarding, not just for the new people that came on board, but also for a lot of the career feds that had been kind of waiting for a moment like this where they could really, really change the way things were and see if we could do something kind of special here. And what the Secretary really cared about was he wanted us to get the money out fast. He wanted us to pick and select fantastic projects. He wanted to be completely accountable with unprecedented level of transparency. And he also, most importantly, wanted us to have it be a down payment on our nation's environment and energy future. And those were the guiding principles of the Recovery Act team of how we executed. So we did that. Of the $32.7 billion on the grant side, today I can tell you that nearly all of it, 99% of it, $32.5 billion have been selected. From an obligation standpoint, which means that the company or the recipient has the money, we're at $28.2 billion of that, which is 86%. And then from a costing standpoint, how much of those monies have the end recipients actually spent at this date in time, we're at $4.1 billion, which is 13%. And so when people ask about the Recovery Act and so forth, remember, we are not funding a program where on day one you're getting a tax refund, and so you can get the money on that day. We're actually trying to lay that foundation, and that takes time. When we give the money to a recipient, it takes them 2 years to actually spend it on the average, some more, some less. And so we care about, are they on schedule to the program that they signed up for? The area that I care and focus most on my time are on the loan programs. That was an effort that had some major growing pains. It started in 2005. It didn't really get funded until a few years ago. But from an authority standpoint, we have 3 different programs. We have the 1703 program, which is the Innovative Technologies, which is a self-pay program, and that has about $51 billion of lending authority. A few years ago, we were given the ATVM, the Advanced Technology Vehicle Manufacturing Program, which has $25 billion of lending authority. But the interesting part about that is that was the first time that they were given $7.5 billion of appropriated subsidy, which offset the requirement of the applicant, the recipient of the loan, to actually have to pay that credit subsidy. And then, as part of the Recovery Act, we did the 1705 program, which is both innovative and mature, and that is, as I mentioned, $33 billion of lending authority, and with $4 billion of appropriate subsidy again. And that's for renewable energy systems, advanced biofuels, and for transmission distribution. So altogether, it's about $110 billion of lending authority. So we take the $32 billion of grants, $110 billion on lending authority, and then you put on top of that the required cost sharing by the recipients, which is the amount of equity that they have to participate in, whether it be a company or a university or any other type of recipient. There's always some type of cost share that on the grant side averages about 50-50, on the loan side averages about 1/3 to 2/3. It ends up that literally there are over $200 billion of projects that are being funded through the Department of Energy with the recipients directly, and then you have participants. I'm sitting on the stage with Silver Spring Networks, and although they didn't receive anything directly, they're a major participant through the supply chain indirectly, through the Smart Grid investment grants, and I'll let my colleague Jordan talk about that more. But locally here in California, I'm pretty good with numbers, but I had to check these quickly. Just so we're all clear also, of that $32.7 billion, $2.2 billion of it has been for California, of which $205 million has been costed, has been spent at this point. The three major programs from an energy efficiency standpoint that are formula grants that California has benefited from. Weatherization Assistance Program, where the state received $186 million to the California Department of Community Services and Development. The State Energy Program, SEP, where the California Energy Commission received $226 million. And then lastly, the Energy Efficiency Conservation Block Grants, which are through the municipalities. The state received, all the municipalities, $355 million. In addition, through the Appliance Rebate Program, $35 million, and then even locally here, the LA Department of Water and Power received $60 million on the Smart Grid side. So that's where we are from a Recovery Act standpoint. Do we have a ways to go? Absolutely, not necessarily on the grant side, because most of those are selected. Now we're actually focusing really closely with all the recipients to actually make sure they spend the money on the plans that they've been given the money for. Some are on schedule, some are ahead, not many, but some are ahead. And then those that are behind, we're working very, very closely to get them back on schedule and doing what we're allowed to do to give them that little nudge. Where we are actually spending a lot of time is on the loan side, because although it had initially growing pains, now we're at the point where we actually are fully staffed. We've got 120 people as part of the loan guarantee program. We'll be doing on average about 4 deals a month. We're now at 13 deals in total, 9 on the loan guarantee side, 4 on the ATVM side. One of the ones we announced most recently, Areva, for $2 billion uranium enrichment. I know you're going to have one of the speakers speak to this later on today. And so you can expect that as we go forward that you'll see things in all the various technologies of the portfolio, not just renewables. We'll also be doing more nuclear, as we did the advanced, the front-end nuclear a couple of weeks ago on top of the first nuclear deal we've done in 30 years with the Vogtle deal in Georgia Power in Georgia. But you should also expect us to do more automotive. We'll do some advanced fossil. But then absolutely in the energy efficiency renewable sector, you should definitely see more solar, more wind, our first geothermals. We'll do some more things on the energy efficiency side, et cetera. So, and the last thing I'll add is that if you haven't applied yet to the loan program, you still can. On the innovative technology side, one of the major things we did was that we wanted companies to apply when they're developmentally ready. We wanted them to not have to respond to a date that we set out. We wanted them to respond to when they would have the best projects, the most credit-worthy deals at the time. Because from a loan standpoint, it's fundamentally different than a grant. It's a loan. A grant is money going out with a cost share that's not coming back. A loan is absolutely designed to be repaid. So we look at it the same way as a bank does, except we, from an innovative technology standpoint, we actually look at it primarily as funding that value of death that's late stage before you can have the public markets participate. And so we very much want to make sure that we have robust, complete applications. We want to see each part of the chain solved. If you're in a space where you have feedstock, that you have that solved. If you're hiring an EPC, that you've got that locked down or actually fully in process that we can vet. That you've got your O&M contracts, that you've got, most importantly, your offtake, your PPAs, that you've got your equity, a strong equity background, equity future in the pipeline, that you have price stability. We look at it the same way as a bank does. And so if innovative technology is where you're at, August 24th is the last date that you can apply for the Recovery Act funds, because we're obligated to actually have not only the conditional commitment done, but the closing of the deal done, as well as shovels in the ground. And that has to be done by September 30th of next year, of 2011. In addition, we're going to be putting out a mature technologies solicitation in the next month or two for manufacturing. People should be aware of that. So if you're a company that's on the generation side, on the manufacturing side, if you're first commercial, not pilot, not demonstration. First commercial, then you should very seriously look into the loan program. Just wanted everyone here to make sure that we had the date set. But with that, that's an update for Recovery Act. Thank you very much.
Terrific. Steve, thank you very much.